Hello, welcome to the session on extending the library management system with community cloud apps. Thank you for joining me and for giving me some of your time today. In this session, we'll talk about cloud apps in general, give a brief introduction, talk about what they are, how we can access them, how they might be useful to us. We'll do a couple of demos of actual cloud apps in a live Alma environment. And then we'll give a brief introduction to building cloud apps, hopefully whet the appetite of some of you watching or encourage you to convince others in your organization to build cloud apps as well. So let's get started. For those of you who are familiar with the open platform, it's what we at Ex Libris call the whole set of services that allow our products to play nicely with other applications within your institutional environment and topology. That includes REST APIs. In Alma, we have over 200 REST APIs that allow programs to get information and access workflows within Alma. It includes standards, industry standards. Our products support over 50 different industry standards. It includes integrations, turnkey integrations that allow systems to work together, sending files back and forth between various systems. And as a part of that open platform, we've seen a tremendous usage of the open platform. So we see over 6 million REST API calls made every day from various institutions on our platform. That's just a tremendous amount of usage, and it speaks to the ingenuity and the creativity of the developer community that they're building apps and integrations that use those APIs. And we have a place called the App Center on our developer network. And the App Center is where those developers who use all those APIs can share applications that they've written with users, with various members of the community, both within their institution and outside of their institution. And there are over 70 apps that are available on the App Center for download right now. And those apps allow you to do all sorts of extensions and scripts and automation of the Ex Libris products. So now we're introducing cloud apps. They were introduced last year. And those cloud apps are an open framework which enables developers in the Ex Libris community, in Ex Libris itself, partners to write apps using all those APIs that we talked about. But the difference is those apps actually run inside of the Ex Libris Higher Ed Cloud platform. So what that means is as a user, as an end user, you don't have to worry about downloading the app, running it, getting an API key, any of the setup work involved. Those apps run directly inside of your Alma instance. Cloud apps allow libraries to improve their efficiency by extending the functionality of Alma or of any other Ex Libris Higher Ed Cloud platform products. And they allow institutions and Ex Libris to respond in a very agile way. So cloud apps, because they run inside of Alma but they're separate, we're not waiting for Alma release cycle. We can build cloud apps and deploy them and respond in a very agile way to requirements of our users and to others as well. So cloud apps, as I mentioned, are searched, installed, and launched directly within your Alma instance, and I'll show you how to do that in a few minutes. Cloud apps also, because they run inside of Alma, they respond to the context of your session, of your user session. So you don't have to kind of switch back and forth between an application that you're using and the end Alma or another Ex Libris Higher Ed Cloud Platform product. I keep mentioning that cloud apps can work with other products that run on the Ex Libris Higher Ed Cloud platform. So that means they can work with Leganto back office, they can work with Primo V back office, they can work with Esploro, they can work with Rapido. But I'll talk about Alma now because that's where most cloud apps are running today. And finally, because as I mentioned, cloud apps run inside of your application of Alma, so they don't require any API key, they don't require a local runtime environment. You simply click on the install button and then you're up and running using that cloud app. So the current status of cloud apps is that there are over 30 cloud apps available right now, just in the past couple months, which is again tremendous adoption. And we've seen 2,000 activations of those various cloud apps. by over 1,000 users. So really users in the Ex Libris community of institutions have found cloud apps that are interesting to them, have activated them, and have used them many, many times, which is great to see. So cloud apps are a part of that open platform, which I mentioned before, along with the REST APIs and standards. This new open framework allows developers and partners and community members to develop their own apps and therefore make them available to users. And it also allows users to find productivity enhancements, integrations that can make their work easier. So we've seen three different benefits of cloud apps. So institutions, first of all, can offer these time-saving apps. They can allow their staff to become more productive. And there's also governance policies that apply to cloud apps. So an institution can specify, after they activate cloud apps in both the sandbox and their production environment, they can specify which cloud apps their users are allowed to install, which ones they're not allowed to install. So there's governance around what the users are allowed to do. And users themselves can now make use of all this great new functionality, streamlined workflows, productivity enhancements integrated directly into your environment. So the benefits are clear to users. And developers as well. Developers now can write their innovative apps. They can make them available to their own users in their institution and to members of other institutions in the community at large. And they don't have to manage their own runtime environment. They don't have to host their application. It all runs directly within the Ex Libris Cloud. And of the cloud apps we've seen so far, they pretty much fit into one of three major categories. So the first one is functionality. There are apps that add new functionality that's not currently supported by Alma. So a cloud app can add additional functionality. A cloud app can provide workflow shortcuts, productivity enhancements. So if there's a flow that's not particularly optimized, let's say, within Alma, so a cloud app can be used to provide really streamlined access to that workflow. And finally, cloud apps can be used to integrate. So they can integrate with external systems. They can bring data from other systems into Alma, and they can share data in Alma with other systems as well. So adding new functionality, providing productivity shortcuts, and integrating with other systems. Okay, let's hop into a few demos. Now that we've seen what cloud apps are, how they can be useful to us, let's go ahead and take a look at how to use them. I am here in an Alma environment. And in this environment, cloud apps have been activated. There's a link in the presentation that shows how to activate cloud apps, which you'll need to do the first time. An administrator will need to do that for your sandbox environment and your production environment. And I know that cloud apps have been activated because I see this little Cloud App Center icon here in the upper right. I'm going to go ahead and click on that icon. I can use this button here to pin. And once I've pinned my cloud apps to the right, all the content in Alma now appears here on the left, and I can go ahead and take a look and work through my list of cloud apps. So these are my list of installed cloud apps that I've already activated within my Alma user. I also have a tab here for available apps, and I can take a look at other apps that I haven't yet installed. And because there are now so many, which is great to see, we have the ability to search for them by clicking on this icon here. And I can search for a cloud app that I'm interested in. For example, delete your sits. Let me just go ahead and uninstall that so I can show you what the process is for installing it. So the first app that I want to show you is indeed this Delete My Sits app. This app was actually, it's a nice example because it was written by a team during a hackathon that was sponsored by the Australia-New Zealand user group. So they took a couple of days. They sponsored a hackathon. They got together 4 teams, and the teams included developers and business users and functional experts, and they built 4 different applications. They took a look at the idea exchange, looked for features that were not yet implemented. They had some of their own kind of regional specific functionality they wanted to implement. And one of those, which they actually found in the idea exchange, was the ability to delete multiple sets. So if I go here to the admin menu and I click on Manage Sets, so I have a list of sets here. And in order to delete a set, I can go over here to these three dots and I can click on Delete this set. But apparently there are a number of users who have a great many sets, and they would like to be able to manage them and remove them in bulk. And that functionality is currently not supported by Alma. And so this team said, all right, let's go ahead and write a cloud app which will do that. So I'm going to go over here to Available Apps. And it actually suggests that this app might be helpful for this page. See, the Cloud App Framework knows that I'm located on the page which shows sets, and this app helps me with sets, so it even suggests it for me. And that little green dot here on the Cloud App icon shows that there are suggested apps for this page. So when I click on the Delete Your Sets, I get a description of the app. I can view the app, the code for it if I want to. I can view more information about the app on the Ex Libris App Center. Here's even some help about the app, which I can click on. And I'm going to go ahead and click on the Install button. The app is installing, and then I'm going to open it. That's it. That's all it takes. Now that app next time will appear inside of my list of installed apps, and I have installed it. So let's take a look here at this app. The first thing I'll show you is that for every app there are these three dots here, and these three dots reveal a menu which always has the ability to remove the app, so it's no longer installed for my Alma user. And then it might have various other options. Here there's a help icon, there might be configurations or settings, and we'll see those in a minute. So now to the app itself. So this list shows me all of the sets that are on the screen. I would like to get rid of these three down here, so I'm going to click those three. It tells me that three sets have been selected. I'm going to click on the delete button. It's going to confirm. Yes, go ahead and delete them. And then it refreshes my page here in Alma. And we see that those sets are now gone. Pretty simple piece of functionality, but believe me, in the few weeks that this app has been available, it's already had enough installations and activations by various Alma users that it's gone up the list of most popular apps. So this must have struck a chord in the Alma community, which is great to see. So what have we seen so far? We've accessed the Cloud App Center. We've seen a list of our installed apps. We've gone ahead and installed a new app that I wanted to use called Delete Your Sets. And we've gone ahead and used that app, which is great. So really quite simple. Let's head back over here to our list of demos. So the first demo that we saw was the Delete My Sets app. And now we're going to take a look at another app which was written by an Alma institution. And that is the Role Toggler. So let's go ahead and find that. I can just click on Role here, and I can quickly open that. And this app fulfills, again, another need. There's a workflow that perhaps is not particularly efficient for some users inside of Alma. And that workflow is that in this institution, they got a list of users that they had to deactivate them every semester, and they would have someone sit down for several days and go through and deactivate them. And the reason why is because to remove individual roles is not very efficient in the current UI. So you have to go through and actually remove them or deactivate them one by one. And so this app very simply allows you to activate or deactivate roles in bulk. It also mentions that there is a settings menu which allows me to selectively exclude roles from being toggled, which is great. So let me go ahead and click on these three dots, and that shows me an icon I haven't yet seen, and that icon is this gearbox. So I can click on this gear, and that brings me to my settings. And these settings are user specific, so each user can specify the roles that they want to exclude by themselves. Let me just go ahead and delete that and then show you how to do it. I'll click on Add. I'll search for a role, for example, the patron role. I will click on Save, and now my settings are saved. And this patron role is now excluded from the toggling. So I have 50 active roles in this user. This is quite a powerful user. I can click on Deactivate Roles. It refreshes the user, and now you see that all of these users' roles are deactivated. And I have one role active. Why? Because I excluded the patron role, so this app does not touch my patron role. And if I want to toggle all of those roles back on, I simply can click on the activate roles, and the app activates the roles, refreshes, and now all my roles have been activated, which is really neat. So we've seen two apps, both written by the community. Both of them, I guess, are in the category of workflow enhancement, productivity tools. And let's go ahead back to my list. Let's take a break for a moment and see where I learned about these apps. So I'm pointing out just a few of the 30 plus apps that are available. And let's find out where we can get more information about cloud apps. I am here on the Ex Libris Developer Network. To find the Ex Libris Developer Network, I can just Google for it, Ex Libris Developer Network, and I can get there that way. And the Ex Libris Developer Network is really meant for developers, for system librarians, for IT folks to be able to come in and get all the information they need about all those aspects of the open platform, again, whether it's APIs or integrations. But there is one tab over here, this Discover, this App Center tab, and this is meant for end users. So in this App Center, I can find all sorts of applications that have been shared by members of the community. As I mentioned, before Cloud Apps, there are already 70 different apps, different tools and apps that could be downloaded and installed. And we have a new filter here, filter by type Cloud App. And if I click on that filter, then I get a list of all the different Cloud apps that are available. So we see the Delete Your Sets, that's the one that we just installed. And here on the App Center, it has some screenshots, and it has some information about it, and it has a link to the code, a link to the help, a link to the app's license. So all that is available here in the Developer Network. And this also allows us to search for various apps that might be available. And the nice thing about the App Center is that it's all open. So I can do a search for Alma, load users by CSV. So this is some functionality that I would like to see if Alma supports. It looks like it's not supported in Alma, but the first link here is to the App Center, and I can click on that, and I can see that there is a cloud app which supports exactly this functionality. So if you're Googling around and you're looking for some piece of functionality, like for example bulk delete sets, and you see that it's not supported natively in Alma, you might come across an entry in the Developer Network in the App Center, and you'll know then that it can be installed in your Alma instance. So that's pretty neat. So we just took a break from our demos to show you if I want to get more information about the cloud apps, or if I want to be able to search for them or Google for them. They're all available here in the App Center on the Developer Network. Okay, so we saw those two great apps. Let's go back to our list of demos, and let's take a look at the third app. It's called a Spinomatic Cloud app. Spinomatic, for those of you who may or may not be familiar with it, Spinomatic was a tool originally written by Boston College way back when at the beginning of Alma. And the purpose of it is to print book labels, spine labels that can be used with Alma. It can get the information out of Alma, and then you can use templates to define or layouts to define how the labels look on a page, and you can get templates which determine what information to put on the labels. So that was an app that is available on the App Center for download. And we decided to see if we could turn that into a cloud app so that you wouldn't have to download it and install it and have the .NET runtime environment and get an API key and get updates. In the cloud app world, it's much simpler. Maybe the cloud app is a little bit less functional at this point. It is still being actively developed. But let's go ahead and take a look at it as an example of some of the things that cloud apps can do. So I'm here within Spinomatic, and I click on the Spinomatic list. Let's click on the three dots first and see another icon that we haven't seen before. This is this tool icon, and this brings me to configuration. Configuration is a bit different than settings. Settings are per user, so we saw in the role toggler app that I, as a user, can determine which roles I want to exclude from my toggling. Here, there's configuration done at the institution level. So an Alma general administrator role can log into the Spinomatic Cloud app. They can do some configuration of templates, of layouts, of images, and that's done once by the administrator, and then any user who installs Spinomatic for their institution is able to use that configuration. So I'm not going to go into all the details of the configuration. We have the ability to determine or to specify layouts, various different layouts. We have the ability to determine templates. The templates will tell us which information is shown on the label itself. There's a whole bunch of other options available down here, but this is where we can add logos and images to use in our templates. This is where the configuration is done. I don't want to make any changes, so I will discard my changes. And let's go ahead. It supports scanning in items. It supports getting a set. It supports selecting items. Let's go ahead and grab some items here, again, just to show an example. And I want to select some from the screen. I can select several of them. I can go next. Here's my layout. I can print grid lines. I can do offset, various different options. Click on print labels. I get my print screen. It's going to show me a preview of it. Here's a barcode and part of the title. And so I can go ahead and print it. Once I do that, I can clear and start over. So that's a lot of functionality inside Spinomatic. That goes into the category of new functionality. So Alma out of the box does not have any label or spine label printing capabilities. With the Spinomatic Cloud app, I'm able to add that functionality to my Alma, which is pretty neat. Okay, we are moving right along. Let's go ahead and skip the appointment scheduler and go down to that CSV User Loader. All of these are links to the apps in the App Center, so you can access the shared slide deck and you can click on these, or you can just go over to the App Center and view them yourselves. The CSV User Loader I mentioned before when we did that Google search to see if we could find some functionality, whether or not Alma supports it. So this use case is, for example, institutions which may get a CSV list of community borrowers or guest lecturers that they have to go through every month, every semester, and create those users manually inside of Alma. That can be a bit tedious. So let's see if there's another possible option. So I'm going to go to my search bar here. I'll search for CSV. I will open it. And again, I have icons here. I have my gear icon, which brings me to settings. Again, I have different profiles I can create. There's several different options. If I want to learn more about the options, I can click on those same three dots and click on the question mark. The question mark will bring me to a help file specific to this app. This is the help file that the developers of the app have provided. It's quite extensive. It shows how to configure profiles. It shows which fields are supported, quite a number of fields. It has many, many examples for how to create CSV files, various use cases such as specifying default values, repeating fields, etc. So this is a helpful document which I accessed from the question mark there. So here in my settings, I have a profile defined. It's my default profile. I have a whole bunch of fields that I've defined, first name, last name, etc. I can add new fields or remove them. So now I am in my default profile. And let's go ahead and find a test CSV file. Here's a test CSV file. I'm going to open it, click on Load Users. It asks me if I do want to create these 5 users in Alma. I say, sure, go ahead and do that. It's going to create all of those users. It created 4 of them. Here it gave us a fail, just to show what a failure looks like in this case. You get feedback directly from the app. In this case, it tells us that the given email type, school with an extra S, is invalid for this user. so that I know that that user was not created. I can just click on that ID. I can paste that in, and I can go ahead and look at this user that was just created now with all of the values that were in the CSV file. So again, new functionality, not supported out of the box, but supported here in the Cloud App. So that's pretty neat. So in that whirlwind tour, we've gone ahead and we've taken a look at 4 different Cloud Apps. The appointment scheduler is also a nice one. The appointment scheduler allows institutions to schedule appointments for defined locations. That's why I can just go and briefly show the configuration for that. So the appointment scheduler is actually a COVID invention. There was a need among institutions to be able to make appointments for users to come in and pick up their books, or perhaps even see a librarian. There were various pickup locations like the back door or auxiliary pickup locations. And so we built this app that allows you to go into the configuration, to create various locations, to specify the maximum capacity for those locations, and it supports notifying users by email and SMS, default duration. So there are a good number of options here, and then there's an interface to schedule appointments at various intervals. And the neat thing about this app here is that it also includes a Primo add-on. You can configure your Primo to allow patrons to schedule their own appointments as well. So this is a bit of a unique Cloud App in that it has a Primo component as well. And if I want more information about it, I can click on the Help, or I can click on this eye icon, and that info icon brings me to the App Center entry for it. And here it shows me a demo of the scheduler, and it also has an example of this Primo add-on. It even shows a moving icon, a moving image that shows how it works in Primo, which is kind of neat. And it allows me to click on this link here to get more information about how to configure this add-on inside of my Primo environment. So that's a little bit that's a unique option for this Cloud App. And so we saw the configuration here. Just to finish up this demo while we're here, I can go ahead and find my user. I can select and I can save this appointment, and then it shows that I have an appointment scheduled for myself at the main pickup location. So another neat Cloud App that provides new functionality. So we've seen a number of different Cloud Apps, very varied. Some of them are shortcuts for productivity. Some of them add new functionality to Alma, and really quite a wide variety of different Cloud Apps. And the idea the idea for these 5 different demos, perhaps one of these apps fits a use case that you have, which is great, but it also kind of gives you an idea for the different types of things that Cloud Apps can do. And so maybe you are interested in looking for additional Cloud Apps that might help you in some of your workflows. And maybe, just maybe, this has encouraged you to explore building Cloud Apps. So if you yourself have development capabilities, or your institution has development capabilities, or you have student interns who work at the library who might be, computer science students who might be interested in learning how to do this, the developer network is the place to go for detailed documentation about how to build Cloud Apps. So everything I've shown you until now is how to use Cloud Apps from the user perspective, no technical skills required. Just 1 minute about how to go ahead and build Cloud Apps if you or someone you know is interested. So the developer network has detailed documentation. There's a getting started guide there. There are tutorials. There are videos that can help walk you through the process of building your own Cloud App, which might fulfill your own requirements. So let's just take a look at that real quick. We're back here at the Developer Network. We were in the App Center. That shows us all the different apps that are available. Up here, there is a link to Cloud Apps, and this is how to build Cloud Apps. So how to build, easy to install apps. The Getting Started guide I mentioned, there's in-depth documentation, there's a whole bunch of tutorials that can help get started. So even in the Getting Started guide, you'll see there are some videos developing your first cloud app, starting with an existing application. So throughout the documentation, there are a number of videos for getting started. And one of the nice things is that Cloud Apps, when you install them and start to work with it, it comes with its own starting application. So here I am in Alma, but the difference here is that this Alma is actually running locally on my machine. I don't need to install all of Alma. It's just a proxy that connects to my existing institution. So all of my institutional data is here. And now I'm building my own demo cloud app. This was what was installed when I just created a new app from scratch. So it kind of shows examples for example, if I go ahead and do a user search, so my demo cloud app will show me a list of those users. If I click on one of those users, it shows me what I selected. It grabs the actual full record behind the scenes. It allows me to update the user, just showing off some of those functionality, some of those features of the whole Cloud App SDK for building new Cloud Apps. So it really kind of jumpstarts you and hopefully will make it relatively easy to develop Cloud Apps yourselves. So that was a quick demo and a short demo and a short introduction to how you can go about developing your own Cloud Apps. Or again, if you are a user who has a great idea for something which might be helpful to you, an integration, a productivity shortcut, new functionality, and you have someone in your institution that has development capabilities, a student, an intern, the links here will get them started building Cloud Apps. What's next? Where do we go from here? Some of the things that I've shown you during this presentation, for example, the currently available Cloud Apps, so there's a link here. I mentioned the documentation for building Cloud Apps if you're interested. The first step, though, is to configure Cloud Apps in your environment if they're not already open. If they're already open, then great. If not, there's a link here to the Knowledge Center documentation, which shows how to activate Cloud Apps inside of either your sandbox and or your production environment. So I appreciate you spending time with me during this presentation. I hope that the Cloud Apps that I showed you were interesting. I hope that the concept of Cloud Apps really empowering the community, allowing developers in the community to build apps and share apps that really can kind of unleash the power of the collective. I hope that's something which is interesting to you, and I encourage you to go take a look at the list of existing apps, and maybe there's already an app which can help you in one of your workflows, and that would really be great. I appreciate your time. Thank you. Have a good day.